for joining us, and I know it's granny time today for you, isn't it, as well? So we're taking you away from your grandchildren.
So we don't say granny, we say grandma.
Grandma. Nan,
yes, it's my favourite day, Fridays.
Right, OK. So, but firstly, Sharron, quickly, what do you make of what's happened this week with the Scottish situation and this rapist?
My big problem with all of it is that I went up last year to give evidence because of this bill, for this bill, and we weren't allowed to speak. So when it was going to affect elite female athletes were not allowed into Hollywood to give evidence. The only people that were allowed to give evidence were trans activists, two men, to talk about women's sport. And this is my problem with the bill. It was that it was very selective who was given evidence. And there were people trying to warn that this was going to happen, and they weren't given a voice. So, you know, it's sad that we're in this situation. The Scottish MPs were given the opportunity to bring in clauses that would protect against sex predators, and they chose not to do that. So it's really sad that we've got to this place, but at long last, we are getting a spotlight onto something which a lot of women activists have been talking about for a long time, is there is a massive clash of rights. And in sport, you know, without doubt, I've been talking about it now for 5 years. Physically, male and females are different. The difference in sport is anywhere between 10% and 160%. A male of equal weight hits 160% harder than a female. So in contact sports, it's incredibly dangerous. And that's just been ignored. You know, the fact that we're not somehow entitled to equality, and there is no science. 17 peer-reviewed studies says that you cannot remove male puberty. The last one was in October of last year. That came out of Brazil, one of the biggest ones so far. And that showed after 14 years, they still hadn't removed the majority of male puberty advantage. So what you're asking women to do at the moment, what you're asking females to do at the moment, is go into a race knowing that transgender women have a biological advantage. What is the point to us having WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, that's supposed to stop people from, you know, from cheating and having an advantage, if we actually say to females, well, you're not entitled to a level playing field?
Sharron,
there's got to be better solutions. There's got to be.
Sharron, I just want to pick up on a couple of points you made there. You said sort of like, you know, you were ignored when you went to Hollywood. Instead, they talked to men. And women's voices are being ignored in sport. Do you feel that women's voices now are increasingly being ignored in all areas, and that is suddenly more acceptable than it has been for a while?
Unfortunately, in sport, it's been very much a misogynistic environment anyway. You know, something like the IOC and committees didn't even have a woman on their committees until 1982. And even now, the people that they have on their committees come from the Middle East in most cases, or China. They don't come from the Western world, where women have a voice and actually say, we have a problem with this, please do something about it. So, yes, I mean, it's still a very, very difficult. Sports like cycling, incredibly misogynistic, one of the worst offenders with regards to actually not listening to their female athletes at all. And it's really important that World Athletics polls its athletes, all of them, male and female, because if you go down to the tracks and you ask the guys and girls that are training, they will, without doubt, within every single one in there, including the coaches, say that they think that women's sport should be protected for the female sex, and there should be an open and inclusive classification for everybody else. Because I'm a big believer that sport is for everybody, but it needs to be fair for both sexes.